Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Purple Shift on PathOSages. It's day 11 of January of the 2012 journey. We have 365 days left. Subtract 10 off of that, and that gives you 344 days to the 21st that we're all anticipating. My guest that I hope will be able to get through today, GVLOANGUY. I asked him to come on and talk a little bit about the announcement from Terral03 about being Adam. And I have no intention of putting out any kind of attack on Terral. That I think last night when I announced it, a lot of people thought that's where it was going to go. It's to talk to somebody who's been following along and what the experience has been like for him. And also, GVLOANGUY is just started a video diary documenting his personal life, where just over the holidays he found out he had melanoma, and he's going to be taking a proactive alternative journey, and he's going to be sharing it with everybody. So we're going to wait for him to call in here. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what's going on with Mother Earth, because we've really had some action, and that's earthquakes, and huge uptick in some of the magnitudes. And I know I talked about it on Monday, that my guest on Friday, YouTuber Weather or Nut, is going to be coming on Friday and talk about watching the radar signatures that show up over his country, Australia, and him just following a pattern of seeing the signatures come up, and he's been able to figure out that somehow, not long after, somewhere, he doesn't claim to know exactly where, but earthquakes will happen. So he had put out a video last week, and just within a couple hours there was the 6.6 in the Tonga area. And last night he put out another video, and I'm going to bring that up for you, that he feels the signature that was just now recently caught over Australia, that he's predicting an 8+ magnitude. And nobody wants to hear that size. And when you don't know where it's going to happen, it makes you edgy. So let me get you this video. I hope you're all connecting with these YouTubers. And they're the ones I'm going to be bringing on. We want to meet them, talk to them, learn their passion. But yeah, I always look for how things are going. So you have the earthquakes, and we know that dead animals are coming back out in the reports again. I mean, we started out this year with the exact same area that 2011 started out with in Arkansas. The birds, they must put on the most phenomenal fireworks ever, that it kills the birds in the area. And I know none of us are buying that. But we watch for these things. So I'm just going to keep winging along here, and we're going to wait for GV to call in. But, so, you know, we have these earthquakes, and one of my favorite sites to keep up to date with events going on around the world is that's called Extinction Protocol. And this morning, the top news is a story about a new model for disaster recovery. China erects 30-story earthquake-proof building in 15 days. I'm thinking, 15 days? I don't think I'd go there. You maybe can tell me it's earthquake-proof, but you have to wonder, why are they starting to build these towers? If you go there, you'll see it's, you know, it's going skyscraper. That's not where I want to be. And, you know, we all know we keep talking about the powers that be are going under the ground. I'm like, okay, so some get to go under the ground, some are going to move into towers. You know, it just gets crazy. So there you go. You can watch. There's a video there that's showing you what they're doing. But I wouldn't go in a sky-rise tower any more than I plan on going underground. In Zimbabwe, we have anthrax outbreak kills hundreds of animals at the nature reserve. And I didn't have time because of the way it was going here this morning, but probably if I would investigate that a little farther, we'd probably find out something's going on in the area. Says more than 165 wild animals, including 88 hippopotamuses, have died amid an outbreak of anthrax. So, see, you watch that area. And we have a new island in the Red Sea. They say it's now here to stay. And that's maybe a good thing. Someone might need to move on it here at some point in time. And that is from a volcano. And I'm always watching the volcanoes because they're waking up around the world, and people aren't aware of it. This last week I was out visiting my mother and ended up in a beauty shop with her and started talking, and I started talking about earthquakes, and the people in the shop had no idea what I was talking about. And I was telling them, you need to get on the internet. Your TV show's not telling you what's going on. And you want to know these things. Everyone's been talking about the 3 days of darkness. My gut says volcano. And we'll see what happens. So I think my caller, my GV guy's here, and I'm anxious to move into this topic. So let me bring him on. Hello, caller 916. Is that you?
Yes, it's GVLOANGUY.
Hi, GVLOANGUY. It's PathOSages. I'm so glad you did this for me because, boy, we put this together late last night.
Yes, we did, and I'm also excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad about that, and I'm glad for two reasons, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the first one because yesterday I was trying to self-teach myself some things that you showed me real quick how you could put together your own video to send out to your subscribers, letting them know you were going to be on the show. And that's what I'm trying to learn, and you did it real quick. And,
yes, well, go ahead.
Well, what I I had subbed your channel. I got discovered you a little while back in a chat room at another radio station, and I believe at that point in time it was Terral and his group on the show, and I'm honest to say that I really don't know, haven't followed. I've just been kind of crossing paths, and of course Terral and his group have recently started here at Freedomizer Radio with the Toxic Reality Show with Pharaoh, bringing their information to the Freedomizer community. And so that's pretty much how far I go into him. And when I came across this, because you were not the only one to put out a YouTube video acknowledging that Terral had made this announcement about he is, Adam, and, when you listen to the video, we're all his children now. And then I came upon your video, and you were responding to, I believe his name's NB Life video. And I was intrigued by your reaction because you ended up sharing, I got from it that you obviously had been following along with Terral and his group and their information, and then you shared that you'd been blocked from leaving a comment. So you tell me what your experience has been with Terral. That gives me more insight into him.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let me just give you just a quick little brief background before I get into Terral on myself and my involvement in the Internet. And I think it's significant because I believe that we as I don't want to make it too big, but we as a people, we as a civilization, we as human beings, whatever, in 2011 had an sort of eye-opening, enlightening awareness experience. Now, I can't really pinpoint that very specifically, but I can only say that myself, I sort of accidentally stumbled into the Internet by way of my daughter-in-law, actually, who said, hey, get on Facebook. We can send you some pictures. And, we can post up pictures. You can see pictures. So I got on there in March or so of last year, 2011. And I looked around and I go, oh, that's cool. But I felt right away uncomfortable just putting too much there on that website of my personal stuff. So I just set up an account, tried to do a little bit there. But then I went over to Twitter. This was around the time I heard something on network news, believe it or not, on television, about the Wisconsin Union. And there was something going on in Wisconsin, and they were using Twitter, a social media thing. This was all new to me back in March of 2011, 10 months ago. So I went onto Twitter, and I go, oh, okay, well, I tried to figure out, okay, you can just put a little pound sign in the word union or whatever, and it'll bring up a whole bunch of actual live conversations happening right now live on Twitter. And so I kind of got into that for a little bit and started throwing my 2 cents around until I attracted a few followers and a few arguments and so on. But it didn't take me long to realize that 140 characters was not enough room. I had too much to say. So then I went to a blog page, and I set up a blog page, which is still out there today. It's under the name of The Daily Trumpet, with all one word, no spaces, thedailytrumpet.blogspot.com. And so I set that up. Now I had a platform to put as many words and pictures as I wanted.
Right.
And
I posted in the chat room a link to your blog spot.
Yes, all right, excellent. And so I got that going, and it didn't take me too long, just a matter of a couple of months, not even. But then I go, you know what? This is too static. It's like just it's words and paper and an electronic format. So then somehow, I don't know what happened. I just went over to YouTube, clicked on something, and the fact of the matter is that YouTube has now become my major format. It just suits me. So
right.
I got onto YouTube in May of last year.
That was the same year I did it, or the same time I did it.
Everybody, I'm telling you, this is for your listeners, for those of you listening, that think about when you got active on the Internet. I'm telling you, there are people that got on earlier, some in 2009, some in 2010, but I myself did not get on the social network side of things until, and especially YouTube as a format for actually making things known. So it didn't take long when I started to search around, and all of a sudden I was looking at Earth changes, cosmic things, which just interest me anyway. And pretty soon I was, following or finding people, including Terral and the chat room. So I got on the Pal Talk chat room and started just listening. I was really afraid to get near the microphone. But I did start, typing a little bit of stuff in the text in the chat rooms. And before I knew it, I was really finding one thing leading to another, and like I'm sure lots and lots of us, thousands of us, started following and paying attention to what's all this talk about. And so then pretty soon I saw Terrell's aspect, and he was talking about all these things in the Planet X and the Nibiru and LNN, and of course all of that interested me because I'm interested in space anyway. But so after a little while, I realized that, gee, this guy he's really got quite a powerful personality. He's able to somehow rally people together. He's got quite a little following going on here, people willing to do things and even people willing to give him money, which is really quite something. So anyway, I started to question some of the things that he said in the chat room. Something he said led me to believe that he was not revealing everything about himself. And so I did some research, and this I started to go back to try to find a little bit of history on him. And around that time, I think it was probably around June, he started to have a little trouble with some of his followers. And somebody posted a page, which I will put on my link at some point after this radio show. It was about Terral03. Terrence L. Croft is his real name. And there's a website which has all the information. He posted it up himself about basically his religious positions on things. And that was the beginning of when I discovered when I looked at his own words and his, quote, rightly dividing the Word of God and the three, the three aspects of the triune aspect of God, that's all accurate stuff. But he's all got himself worked into the story so that he's the main character now in the end of the age. And he believes this stuff about himself. So this video that he just posted up last week, which is the one I responded to, it was posted up by NVLife904, apparently to expose Terral and let people see what he was really talking about. And so he did that, and I responded to it, which my response was I looked at the video and I was actually going to respond to put a comment. As soon as I clicked on the comment field, I was blocked. And I go, whoa, I've been blocked by NV-Life 904 from the Pal Talk room back in June when I started chatting in the chat room and posting information about Terral. As soon as I mentioned that he thinks he's the son of man, he thinks he's the last Adam, the second man, or what, all of these different things. As soon as I posted that, I got blocked from the Pal Talk room, and I've been blocked ever since. And now I'm apparently still blocked from NV.
So you investigated him based probably on a gut instinct, I'm sure, and you go to bring it up and bring it to the forefront, obviously, and no more GVLOANGUY allowed in the room. Now, I've heard people talk about that I went over to Pal Talk and, if you didn't agree or, challenged anything being said there, you're banned.
Yeah,
done.
Pretty much.
It was
pretty
like, much. And I was like, well, for me, that's a total red flag that, while you're joining into basically Think Our Way, which is short from mind controlling you, or you're out. And, I know a little bit that back in September when that didn't happen, he took a hit for that. And I will say, from the times I've listened to him talk, you can hear it in his voice. He's charismatic.
Yes. Yes, he is.
And you know what? When I see and even hear, you can hear a charismatic voice. That's a signal right there. I'm going to pay more attention, not because I'm going to hang on their every word because I believe it. I'm going to pay attention because I've seen the manipulation that charismatic people can do.
Yes.
And
go ahead. I was going to say his video that he just put out really, giving credit to NV-Life 904 for posting this video. Apparently, I've heard from several of NV-Life's followers since I posted my video, basically exposing them both as being part of the same plan to further get exposure for Terral. If I could be wrong on that, I'd be happy to be wrong on that. But I'm going to have to hear directly from NV-Life 904 before I'll take that video down. Otherwise, it's going to stay up there, linking him together with Terral and this new, quote-unquote, exposure of Terral, which I think is just more, exposure, but not in a bad way, but he's trying to give him publicity. So if I'm wrong,
for me,
I'll pull that
guy,
down.
He's I thought it was really interesting when they do their show, Come On and Talk. It's not their show. It's Faye Ray's show, Toxic Reality. They can come in. The chat room goes 1,000 miles an hour, and normally the regulars kind of sit back at the moment and they do their thing. But it was interesting because on Monday, listening to him talk, I posted in the chat room, well, you know what, I wouldn't mind talking to Terral because I'd like to know what all this means to him spiritually, because I became aware that, not only does he do all this research about Nibiru and, I've never even looked into his opinions on 9/11. My thought when he talks about that is like, where were you back in, 2002 when there were plenty of us knew the truth? And bringing it out however many years later, I'm not impressed, but, if you want to take the claim, that's fine. But I thought, I'm wondering if this wasn't leaked because as, videos can go viral. He's not the first one to come out and be saying he's supreme or he's the king or, right now on the Internet, I know of at least 3. And I told my chat room friends that I was like, and you know what, the History Channel did a show about 3 guys around the world that they all claim they're Jesus. And, well, put them at a round table and let's see if, I said, if you remember that old show, To Tell the Truth, and at the end it's like, will the real one please stand up?
Yes, right, and
so,
I was
going to say, how would he, I'd love to see them all argue it out.
Yeah. Well, I am a person of faith and a believer, and I do believe that the Bible is the Word of God. And therefore, I from that basic foundation position, I'm going to say that the Bible tells us that we're going in the last days, we're going to have people saying, Christ is here, Christ is over there, go here, follow this, follow that. Those of us that know, I don't know. I guess the best way to summarize this is your intuition. All of us have a built-in intuition. We all have a spirit, and we know, we can sense, we can discern. And I think that these are days when we all just need to pay attention to our intuition, to what's being spoken to us on the inside, and focus there rather than on all these people claiming to be all this stuff. So I won't say any more about Terral on that subject. I was just going to say that I did look up a link again this morning that I will mention here. You can look it up on the blog page. It's called Exposed. Terral L. Croft, Melanin and the Ozark Cave Cult, Waiting for Rapture from the Pole Shift, or something along that line. So if you can find that article, I'm also going to post that at some point. So this is the reference that I tried to post back in June when I was blocked, and I never was able to post it, but it's going to be posted now. It was by something. Anyway, I apologize for not having all of that info. It was short notice, like you said, on our getting together here this morning.
Yeah, we just did this last minute, late last night. And, GV, listen, I have to throw us into a few commercials here and stay on the line. And we're going to come back, and we're going to keep on talking, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
You are listening to Freedomizer Radio, where Freedomizers freedomize freedom.
Okay, GV, we are back.
Okay.
Now, we're going to switch over a little bit because, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience. Because I think last night when I let people know, I was going to talk a little bit about it on the show. I think everybody thought I was going on some attack. I'm not an attack dog. Everybody has the right to be living their life. And everybody's where they're at on their path via their choices and their decisions. And so Terral has every right to claim he's whoever he wants to believe he is. And everyone that is dedicated to that as a following, that's their individual choices.
Yeah.
So now the other thing about you, GV, that really also got to me, and I'm hoping we'll be able to touch base here and there over time, is you just started a video diary on your YouTube channel, which for everybody, I hope you scroll back up there and get his first video. Well, you go ahead and you tell everybody what happened to you recently and what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah, Just really super briefly, if it's okay, before we jump into that, can I just make one more mention of something about Terral?
Sure.
Okay, all I wanted to say on that is I wanted to clarify my position on Terral's positions regarding the Earth changes and space things coming and all that, and even the 911 thing, but that's less relevant. But he has, in fact, done quite a bit of research, and a lot of it is, I think, some good stuff there in the Earth changes.
I think they do.
Yeah, I'm not arguing any points with him on that part of what he talks about. But when he moves into this religious role and that sort of thing, that's when he loses me. And unfortunately, that also affects how I feel about his other stuff that he's put out, which is unfortunate because they probably shouldn't, but it does affect me. Anyway, I do think that
you know what, GV, you're not going to be the only one that is going to affect a lot of people.
Sure. And but I did want to say one of the other things he's talking about, among other people these days, is the 188 days. And I'm sure you've heard of this. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I am definitely one that keeps track of that type of thing. I think that part of things, not that he gets credit for this, but this stuff really did start all of a sudden back in 2009 and 188 days later. I mean, I've got the dates right here in front of me, but that's a different show. But it's just amazing. And we're, of course, coming up on another one this March 21st, 2012.
Right.
So we're a couple months away from another real exciting period when we're going to be in the position in our galaxy that puts us in some sort of a gravitational place again. And so with magnetic forces pulling and lots of things happening with the sun and everything. So these are definitely exciting times. I personally believe we are at the last days, and that's my byline on my the Daily Trump. It's the last days are upon us. That's my little byline there. But anyway, so this is related to cancer now. I have back in, interestingly enough, May of 2010.
You have to wonder about the synchronicity now, don't you?
Yeah, so that was like a year from before I got on YouTube, and we're coming up on another year there. But anyway, back in May of 2010, I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. I had a spot that appeared on my forehead above my eyebrow. It was real small, seemed fairly insignificant. I really kind of looked at it for too many months before going into a dermatologist. But anyway, I did go in, and he took the thing out, said it was malignant, needed to proceed to the next level, which was to take out like a postage stamp size piece of skin up there, and then they sent that out and tested it and said, well, we got to take some more. There's a little something still there. So they took out basically about 1.5 inches square out of just above my eyebrow, and pulled it all together. It was kind of ugly, but it's all good now. They also took out a lymph node in my cheek because they were looking to see if this had spread anywhere. So they pulled out the sentinel node they found, and that was not easy, but they took 3 hours digging around in my cheek until they found it, and they sent it out, and it came back clear. So all good. So basically they gave me the all clear and said, go home now and check, look at yourself, watch for spots, check in with the dermatologist and regularly and all of this, and there you go. So I did that. And it literally took months before my cheek swelling went down and I could actually get feeling there again. So that took me until second surgery was probably June, July. It took me till September, October, or later. Anyway, it was quite a while before I could actually feel my face. And I started feeling it, and it was like, okay, things are going down. I felt some little bumps under there. One right near the surgery where they went for the node, and one up near the forehead where they went for the little patch of skin. And I thought, oh, these are probably just little scar tissue. Felt like little scar tissue. under the skin. But then the one down by my jawbone, all of a sudden it started growing over the months until I'd say maybe September, roughly a year later from the original time when I had the final surgery. A little over a year later, I could feel this thing now. It's growing. It's getting to be the size of almost like I want to say like a little pea, or I don't know, the little things that, like that. So I finally go, well, this is bugging me. I'm going to get it checked. So I went back to my dermatologist, and he said, you better go get this checked. So I went to a surgeon. They took a little needle biopsy on it a month or so ago and came back with the results being, what's the word they used? Anyway, abnormal cells, which means malignant. So anyway, so then after the needle biopsy, this thing was like, now this thing's growing like a madman on my face. And I'm like, whoa, I need to get this thing out of here. I don't know what the heck this is. So we went in for surgery on December 22nd, just last year, just not even a month ago. 2 weeks, whatever it is, 2.5 weeks ago. And interestingly enough, I was in the hospital, and I'm such a addict on this internet stuff. I have to laugh at myself. I literally tweeted and called Francis at the Perfect Minds on his radio show. And on the 23rd, I think it was, he had a show or something. It was a Christmas. He called to wish him Merry Christmas live from the hospital room, all drugged up.
I remember that.
So that was my surgery deal, but it really helped me to get through the 2 nights in the hospital there. Anyway, so then they sent that. They ended up taking out this whole thing called I think it's called a parotid or parotid gland, I think is with a P. It's up by in front of your ear and your sort of your jaw and the cheek, about probably 2-inch round thing, circle. They took that thing out, and the doctor, of course, then told me that the results came back just about a week ago on all of that. And the results were, well, yeah, this was pretty bad. It looked bad. And then he used an interesting word, which I put in the video. He said, there are indications that we therefore recommend that you get radiation, and then we'll look into chemotherapy, some kind of stuff like that.
Right.
And I go, indications? Yeah, what does that mean? Well, apparently, when they had my whole face opened up, they saw specks, meaning that the melanoma has spread and is spreading. Now, I, of course, went into a tailspin on that one. Went into a downward depression spiral, which fortunately only lasted a few days. And during that time, this is the part, I need to tell you this part, because this is the part that really makes it interesting to me. My wife, back in 10 months ago when we started this thing on the internet stuff, went and we bought a book by a guy by the name of like George, I don't know what it is, G. Edward Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. And it's all about the Federal Reserve and how it started and the banking cartel and the whole thing is very, very excellent research, and he just lays it out. This guy's just right on the money. So I even put out a couple of videos digesting what she said and read and put it out on the subject. Became fairly enlightened by this guy, G. Edward Griffin. Mm-hmm. So then my wife finished this book, and unbeknownst to me, and before I had any kind of surgery or even any indication that I had anything coming back, before this, she said, well, what else has this guy got out? And she found that previously he had a book that he put out called World Without Cancer. And so she bought it. World Without Cancer, G. Edward Griffin. And let me just say something here. She bought the book, started reading it, and thought that this treatment that he talked about would be good for us from just a health standpoint. We're missing something in our diet. this would be good stuff. Then, of course, I found these bumps. Then we went through the whole thing, and now I come back. And in the meantime, she actually ordered something online from out of the country, and it was in my house. And it was this stuff called Laetril, and it's actually amygdalin. Is the word, and since we're on radio, I'll spell it. It's AMYGDALIN, amygdalin. It appears in nature. It's in apple seeds. It's in apricot pits. It's in lots of things. It used to be in almonds when they were bitter, but they've bred that out of most of our food, interestingly enough. Anyway, this guy, I posted up video on this G. Edward Griffin and his 35 words. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read these 35 words that sum up the story of this alternative treatment for cancer. Is that all right with you?
Go ahead. Sure.
All right. It is, here we go. A control for cancer is known, and it comes from nature, but it is not widely available to the public because it cannot be patented and therefore is not commercially attractive to the pharmaceutical industry, period. That 35 words pretty much tells the story. It's about money. It's not about curing cancer. It's about money. So basically there are two paths, and I had to choose one. I could go down the orthodox treatment method, which means cutting, burning, and poisoning.
Right.
Surgery, radiation, chemotherapy.
Right.
Or the alternative solution, which is all natural and totally based on the fact that we're missing something in our bodies today that naturally fights the cancer cells. You see, cancer cells produce themselves in all of us all the time. They always have. They always have. But up until recently, our diet actually included the stuff we needed to take care of this. You know, I'm 63 years old. I grew up in the 50s, in the 60s, and all of that. We never heard of cancer. Never knew anybody that had cancer. Back in those days, it was so rare. I mean, there were people, but it was so rare.
Oh, yeah,
now,
I totally agree. That it was not on the tip of your tongue.
Not at all. Now, everybody knows somebody either with cancer, that died from cancer, whatever. Now, so my position on it is simply this. There's too much to go into on the show here in terms of the details. But what I will say is that there is an alternative. So I have gone from depression and morbid mortality, thoughts of dying and all of these things, to now where I absolutely am energetic, enthusiastic, optimistic. I have hope. And that attitude alone is going to benefit me. But I do have now, so once I discovered this option, I started trying to find the stuff and maybe a doctor that could help me figure out what I needed to do. Well, little did I know, it's illegal, at least in my state, for doctors to prescribe Laetril for cancer. They can't do it. They'll lose their license, which tells me that between the AMA and Big Pharma, they are dictating to the doctors what they can prescribe and how they can practice medicine. They're not actually practicing medicine, because practicing medicine means helping people and healing people and giving the people what they need for health and for all of the benefits. So my problem is that after I finished my stuff back in 2010, in July and August, when they sent me home and said, now just look in the mirror, look yourself over, check in, all that. If they would have told me at that time, all right, now that you got all this done, we took it out, we cleaned, now you need to start eating a lot of apricot pits or whatever, and quit eating the red meat and dairy products for a while. Get your body right again. They never told me this. You need antioxidants, you need enzymes, you need this, you need that, you need vitamins, you need all. It's a whole program. It is not simply this one item. It's a whole protocol. And I have it now, and I have the list of things that I need to get, and I'm in the process of getting them. They're not cheap. I can't get most of them here in this country, and I can't get any doctors to help me with it. So I've got, what it means to me is that if a person decides that they want to go a different route other than the orthodox, traditional medicine method of, surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, if you want to do anything other than that, like go back to something natural that may be God-given, that may be appears in nature, if you want to do that, they're going to make it hard for you to do it, hard for you to get it, and if they could throw me or the doctors in jail, they probably would do that too. And based on that alone, that made me decide to put my face on YouTube, because prior to January 1st of this year, GVLOANGUY had never appeared on his face. But I now have put my face on YouTube, and I'm documenting the progress that I'm moving along in this process. And it has now become my crusade, if you want to use that word, to expose the big pharma control of our medical community today, and how they're tying the hands of these doctors. I mean, so I think, I'm not sure how we got where we got, but we're here now. And so my position is this. I'm going to put myself out there because I've never had radiation. I've had surgery a few times on this, but I've never had radiation, never had chemotherapy, and I'm not going to get either one. I watched my dad go down this route 20 years ago, 2 years worth of horrible suffering and ultimately dying, and with leaving nothing but huge amounts of dollars in the hands of the people that provided whatever they provided for him. But they gave him, basically, it was a terrible ending, and I'm not going to go that route. I understand that people that refuse treatment altogether, oftentimes end up living longer and definitely a better quality of life than those that seek treatment. Now, I'm not suggesting people don't get treatment. I'm not suggesting this is a cure. I'm not making a medical recommendation here. I'm just saying that this is my choice. I want to attack these cancer cells with the natural, God-given ingredients that are in nature that was provided.
Because
that
is the truth. God's, in the Bible, He said, "I will provide." So it's
Genesis
everywhere.
1:29.
It might be in a bark of a tree somewhere, and
that's right.
As you said earlier, the pharma. They've taken control of all of that. And, we're coming to the end, and I just wanted to say that, you touched me because a little over 10 years ago, I lost a brother to melanoma. And that's when it was really new. And he was in, the experimental. They were just, and he didn't get the success story. And I just went through 2 years ago, and my sister's been in remission from breast cancer. And what I admired about her was that really positive attitude. She stayed immensely positive. And, I would tell her, so important, so important.
Yes.
Because, when you do first find out something, sure, your first reaction is a lot to take on, and who wouldn't get depressed? And, what you never do is just throw yourself at the mercy of the medical community. I personally, I deal with, my family doctor is a DO, not an MD. Now, he's still an MD, but they whole different approach. They do include your spiritual wellness. And, I love him because I switched my youngest children over to him for the simple reason. You had doctors, the pediatrician, if your kid had a sniffle, they were throwing them on antibiotics. And they might not have needed it, and they would antibiotic children to death to the point that, good grief, then when something really happened, the antibiotic didn't work anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Now the body, it resists it. So, my doctor, if I took the kids in with, the sore throat or the runny nose, I just wanted them checked. But, he explained even to my kids, because they'd be going, I can't go to school tomorrow, right? And he'd be like, no. He's like, when you have green and yellow snot, then we have a problem or a fever. So I love him. I don't think they did. Well, GV guy, I appreciate, this is where my hour went fast. I hope you'll come back. And,
I will come back.
Keep us filled in on what's going on with you and your journey, and I hope everyone will follow along with your YouTube and check out your Daily Trumpet.
And GVLOANGUY on YouTube. I'm out there, GVLOANGUY. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And, I'm excited to be your guest, and we will do more of this.
Oh, I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you again. You have a great day, and thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, everybody, that's it. I'm out. Love you. Peace. But I always look for how things are going. So you have the earthquakes, and we know that dead animals are coming back out in the reports again. I mean, we started out this year with the exact same area that 2011 started out with in Arkansas. The birds, they must put on the most phenomenal fireworks ever that it kills the birds in the area. And I know none of us are buying that. But we watch for these things. So I'm just going to keep winging along here, and we're going to wait for GV to call in. But, so, we have these earthquakes, and one of my favorite sites to keep up to date with events going on around the world is that's called Extinction Protocol. And he found out he had melanoma, and he's going to be taking a proactive alternative journey, and he's going to be sharing it with everybody. So we're going to wait for him to call in here. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what's going on with Mother Earth, because we've really had some action, and that's earthquakes, and huge uptick in some of the magnitudes. And I know I talked about it on Monday, that my guest on Friday, YouTuber Whether or Nut, is going to be coming on Friday and talk about watching the radar signatures that show up over his country, Australia, and him just following a pattern of seeing the signatures come up, and he's been able to figure out that somehow, not long after, somewhere, he doesn't claim to know exactly where, but earthquakes will happen. So he had put out a video last week, and just within a couple hours, there was the 6.6 in the Tonga area. And last night, he put out another video, and I'm going to bring that up for you, that he feels the signature that was just now recently caught over Australia, that he's predicting an 8+ magnitude. And nobody wants to hear that size. And when you don't know where it's going to happen, it makes you edgy. So let me get you this video. I hope you're all connecting with these YouTubers. And they're the ones I'm going to be bringing on. We want to meet them, talk to them, learn their passion. This morning, the top news is a story about a new model for disaster recovery. China erects 30-story earthquake-proof building in 15 days. I'm thinking, 15 days? I don't think I'd go there. You maybe can tell me it's earthquake-proof, but you have to wonder, why are they starting to build these towers? If you go there, you'll see it's, it's going skyscraper. That's not where I want to be. And, we all know, we keep talking about the powers that be are going under the ground. I'm like, okay, so some get to go under the ground, some are going to move into towers. It just gets crazy. So there you go. You can watch. There's a video there that's showing you what they're doing. But I wouldn't go in a sky-rise tower any more than I plan on going underground. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Purple Shift on PathOSages. It's day 11 of January of the 2012 journey. We have 365 days left. Subtract 10 off of that, and that gives you 344 days to the 21st that we're all anticipating. My guest that I hope will be able to get through today, GVLOANGUY, I asked him to come on and talk a little bit about the announcement from Terral03 about being Adam. And I have no intention of putting out any kind of attack on Terral. That I think last night when I announced it, a lot of people thought that's where it was going to go. It's to talk to somebody who's been following along and what the experience has been like for him. And also, GVLOANGUY is just started a video diary documenting his personal life, where just over the holidays